Today, we're diving into a critical issue that often goes unnoticed: why the rest of the world doesn't seem to care about Africa's crises. We're talking about a continent grappling with conflicts, poverty, climate change, and political instability, often with minimal global attention or intervention. Now, I know what you might be thinking. John, isn't this a bit heavy for a Tuesday afternoon? And to that I say, yes, it is. But buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going in. If you like this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe for more. Let's start with Sudan, shall we? The country's been embroiled in a brutal civil war for months now, a conflict marked by unimaginable violence, widespread displacement, and a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. We're talking about millions of people on the brink of starvation, caught in the crossfire of a power struggle they didn't ask for. But here's the kicker: you wouldn't know any of this was happening if you only got your news from, well, most major news outlets. It's like Sudan's suffering is happening in a black hole of global awareness, and frankly, it's appalling. This isn't just about a lack of coverage, it's about the dehumanizing effect of that silence. When we fail to bear witness to the suffering of others, we strip them of their dignity, we reduce their stories to mere statistics, making it easier to turn a blind eye to their plight. And that, my friends, is a dangerous, dangerous game. Next, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the gorilla in the Congo. The ongoing crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo, particularly in its volatile eastern regions bordering Rwanda, is a tangled web of ethnic tensions, resource exploitation, and proxy warfare. It's a conflict fueled by greed, power, and a history of colonial meddling that would make even the most seasoned diplomat reach for a stiff drink. For decades, this region has been plagued by violence, instability, and human rights abuses, on a scale that should shame the international community. But instead of decisive action, we've seen a pattern of half-hearted interventions, empty promises, and a collective shrug of indifference. It's almost as if the world has decided that the Congo is just too complicated, too messy to deal with. Now let's shift gears to Zimbabwe, a country once dubbed the breadbasket of Africa, now grappling with hyperinflation, poverty, and political instability. Years of economic mismanagement, corruption, and sanctions have taken their toll, leaving ordinary Zimbabweans struggling to afford basic necessities. Imagine your life savings being wiped out overnight, your salary barely enough to buy a loaf of bread. That's the reality for millions in Zimbabwe. But where's the global outcry? Where are the emergency aid packages, the debt relief programs, the coordinated efforts to help Zimbabwe get back on its feet? Sure, there have been sporadic attempts, but nothing on the scale or urgency that this crisis demands. It's almost as if the world has decided that Zimbabwe's problems are self-inflicted, conveniently forgetting the role of external factors in its economic downfall. Now journey with me to the Sahel, a vast region stretching across Africa, just south of the Sahara Desert. Here, a perfect storm of climate change, poverty, conflict, and displacement has created one of the world's most dire humanitarian crises. We're talking about millions facing hunger, disease, and violence, their lives hanging by a thread as drought, desertification, and conflict converge. This isn't just a humanitarian crisis, it's a security crisis, a climate crisis, and a moral crisis all rolled into one. Yet, despite the scale and urgency of the situation, the Sahel rarely makes headlines. It's a crisis unfolding in slow motion, far from the cameras and the conscience of the world. And that, my friends, is simply unacceptable. And if you thought things couldn't get any bleaker, let's talk about Donald Trump, shall we? Remember him, the guy with the spray tan and the Twitter addiction? Well, during his reign of error, he decided it would be a brilliant idea to slap tariffs on goods from African countries, effectively kicking them while they were already down. The stated goal? To protect American jobs. The actual result? Making it even harder for African countries to trade their way out of poverty. It was a classic Trump move, short-sighted, self-serving, and utterly tone-deaf to the needs of others. But here's the kicker: the lack of global outrage was almost as deafening as the tariffs themselves. Where were the protests, the condemnations, the coordinated efforts to hold the Trump administration accountable for its economic bullying? It's as if the world had grown numb to Trump's antics. even when they had real-world consequences for some of the world's most vulnerable people. Look, I get it, the world's a complicated place and there's a lot competing for our attention. But we can't keep hitting the snooze button on Africa's crises. It's time to wake up and smell the injustice brewing. It's time to demand better from our leaders, our media, and ourselves. It's crucial that we bring more attention to these issues and push for meaningful action. Africa's crises deserve the world's attention and support. This isn't just about charity. It's about justice, about recognizing our shared humanity, and about building a world where everyone, regardless of where they're born, has a chance to thrive.